to the ADNA Presents. This is Roy Samuelson. Today we have a very special guest, Asiamarie Domingo. She is an audio engineer. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Asia, what do you love about audio description?
You know, I can admit that I'm fairly new to the game. I started recording audio description in the middle of 2022, so I haven't quite hit my 2 years. But in the time that I've been recording, I've really come to love just how nuanced it can be and just the efforts that come from many different sides to creating this product for people that wouldn't be able to enjoy what I get to enjoy without it. That might be something that's obvious and many people say, but at the end of the day, that's really the heart of it for me. I enjoy getting to do the best I can to make the best product at the end. So, yeah.
I love that answer. It's so great to hear about how you see audio description. It helps us and our audience understand where you're coming from. Can you give a little bit more about your background in audio engineering before you got into audio description?
As far as audio, I've always been musically inclined. I started playing piano when I was 6, and I've always loved music. I've always loved singing. So that's what I used to want to do, what I thought I wanted to do. I got my bachelor's in the fine arts with my focus in vocals, but that didn't go anywhere. I jumped from job to job to job, just doing all these random things, and I just wasn't happy. So finally in 2021, so again, this is all very recent, went back to school. I went to this school called CRAS, Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, and I started my journey to becoming an audio engineer. Actually, my goal was to do music production, but towards the end of my time there, I realized that I was more interested in post-production. So that led me to the company I'm at now. And it's actually by chance that I wound up in audio description. It was during this time where a bunch of people got sick. It was like 2022. So, we still had a lot of COVID policies in place. So, if you test positive, you're out, like until you can test negative still. So a bunch of people got sick after 4th of July. So I kind of was like knocked on my door. I was still fairly new at the company and I wasn't doing any recording actually. And they were like, hey, a lot of people are sick. We need you to fill in. We're going to give you a quick crash course. You're going to do like 2 days shadowing one of the guys who has recorded audio description and we'll get you in. And I was like, okay, cool. It felt really fast at first, but thankfully the engineer I was shadowing had recorded audio description for maybe 2 to 3 years before I jumped in. And our department head that I first recorded with had been working in audio description for about 5 years or more. So I had a lot of hands-on, really thorough getting thrown into the water. So it didn't feel like I was unequipped, but it was fast, it was heavy, and yeah, it was great. I liked it. It was this whole new world that I honestly didn't know existed.
A lot of your training, both at the conservatory and focusing on maybe even music production in addition to post-production, that those skills really came into play. Like you were able to adjust to that.
Yeah, I definitely say so. There's still a rhythm to audio description. There's still a tone. There's still a musicality, that fits in with the scenes of the program. I feel like having an ear, it helps you know the tone you want to capture scene by scene, program by program, and it has definitely helped.
Very cool. And you said it was a whole new world. That tells me that there were some elements in audio description that was a little different than maybe what you had prepared for as far as post-production goes. Could you talk a little bit about the contrast, the difference between audio description and let's say even music production or post-production? Are there some differences?
Not too many, honestly, at least on an engineering side. It's all about getting that quality recording, great levels. You want to roll out the ends. The nice thing is here is that with music, you've got so many other aspects to worry about because, we're working with print masters that are already mixed and everything. The easy part for me is all I really need to focus on is my actor giving the best performance for the audience. And then on top of that is making sure that the script and what the descriptions that we're rolling out are all accurate as possible, detailed as possible, and sometimes not going overboard with detail. Because, sometimes I've noticed when things are just filling wall to wall in between dialogue, it can be a little much, I feel like. So just trying to be as tasteful as possible. I don't have to worry about anything else except for that.
Oh, that's a great perspective. It's great to hear your contribution. It sounds like as an audio engineer, you're also doing a little bit of quality control. If we could step back a little bit to the actor giving the best performance, when you're working with an AD performer and things are just going the way that it's putting that little career smile on your face, like things are just flowing. What are the things in that collaboration that you're seeing are happening? Like how do you relate to the person, or what is the thing that keeps that flow going for you?
Well, the first thing, again, seems straightforward or obvious, but I feel like the actor, whenever I have that yes moment, the actor is as invested in what we're making as I am. You know what I mean? I've definitely encountered occasions where they're just reading, and it's so much more than that, like just as if you go to where people read in a library, if you just read, it's not engaging, and whenever I have an actor giving like their top tier performance, they're engaging while still staying within the not necessarily limits, but within the rules that have been laid out on how AD should sound, while still giving their personal contribution of flair. And so that's always like the first step for me. And then everything else, there are more technicalities on skill wise, reading wise, knowing when to inflect the sentence in a certain way, also sentences after certain sentences, just that flow back to back. But that first thing is knowing why they're there and wanting to give the best too.
And that goes back to what you initially said at the very top. When we talk about nuance, that's been a real focus of our podcast. And out the gate, you use that word. And I'm hearing that in that investment, the library example. It's like that investment, that commitment that a reader at a library would give. That's a really, really beautiful parallel. Thanks for sharing that. I think you gave a really great example of how you were kind of thrust into this position. You really rose to the occasion and jumped right in. Is there another specific example of a challenge that you had in audio description that you're really proud of how you overcame it?
It is kind of part of the challenge where I have been in situations where we would get scripts that are not up to par of what I believed was worth what the audience deserves, right? So it kind of landed on me. I had talked to some engineers before me, and one had expressed, he also struggled with having to record and quality control at the same time. And he would do the best he could within, the time constraints of a session. I talked to another engineer, and he had the complete opposite view. He was like, that's not my job. I record what's there. If it fits, it doesn't. If it doesn't fit, I delete it. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I can kind of respect that that's not your job. I kind of took both sides and did the best I could to give quality recordings, stay within my timed sessions, and adjust the script. It ended up helping me in the end because I unknowingly was training to be a better writer. And not so much that, I want to just conquer all ends and now like write AD full time or anything, but the more knowledgeable I am from top to bottom, it just made me feel more confident that I'm making the right choices if I have to make these last minute edits in the booth, because I would have to always message someone like, can we say this? Can we say that? It actually pushed me to be more informed. So I started looking up things, going to different websites, even looking up FCC's requirements of AD, and then just hopping from article to article to inform myself. And at the end of the day, even though I was kind of frustrated that these situations were putting me in an inconvenient place where I was having to quality control while I'm recording, it turned out for the better because I feel so much more informed on audio description. And it gave me more of an appreciation of what we're doing. It wasn't just a job to me anymore. It was really like, people need this, people want this. I love media, and there are tons of blind people who also love it. Why don't they get to taste it the way I do, at least as best as we can make it for them?
If you were to think about where audio description would be headed in your dream audio engineering perspective, like you get the world's your oyster, whatever you want, where would you see that?
I mentioned one of the other engineers I spoke to, where he was like, I did my very best, like to edit as much as I could while we were recording. And so one time we like met up in the kitchen and we were just chatting about, the process of AD, at least in our department, and then on a bigger scope. He had mentioned this to me, and it's funny because we're doing a podcast right now. He was like, yeah, I feel like it would be awesome if AD got to this level, like the way podcasts are. People are just riding around. And he was like, you could watch the latest season of whatever you're watching while you're on some long distance drive, but you're listening to it. He said people drive all the time in traffic, listening to their podcasts. If people saw audio description in the form of like something similar to a podcast, seeing people wouldn't feel like, oh, I don't really need that. Audio description doesn't affect me. Like what seeing or non-seeing people could all use audio description in multiple places. Kind of like even nowadays, I can hear just fine, but I watch so many things with subtitles these days. You don't have to be deaf to use subtitles. And we were talking about how you don't have to be blind to utilize audio description. I think we're in this place where most seeing people don't even know audio description exists. So that would be like my ideal place where everyone knows what it is. It's available for everyone in all streaming and non-streaming places, wherever it can be. And yeah, that it was just more known and utilized.
Great examples. I love the curb cut effect of being able to have audio description available for the commutes. We love talking about that, and it's great to see how easy access those audio description toggle switches are becoming now. That it's they've still got a ways to go, but it seems it's becoming a lot more. The accessibility of accessing the access is becoming a lot better. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Thank you for having me. I mean, no one knows who I am, but anyone who listens to anything I've ever put out as far as an engineer, I hope that it's helped. I hope that I can be better for you all. I know that we're all part of this kind of this bubble that is trying to put out more and more, increase the quality, increase accessibility for this larger mass of people, that we're all in this circle together, trying to make this happen for a lot of people. I just hope that I can, be better, learn more, talk to more people like Roy. It's been awesome since I've met you. And it hasn't even been that long ago since we first met, but when you were able to come in and record with us, it was definitely like a gear shift for me, and all of these questions I've had, like, oh, how can I be better? Where can I get more training? You were able to open those doors for me. And I was able to like reach out to like that training retreat that you had talked about.
Audio description training retreats has been really helping so many professional working audio description professionals of all kinds to expand their existing skills and even learn some more. So it's great to know that's continuing.
I've got myself signed up for like the next possible upcoming class. I think it's like in June. Hey. So yeah, I feel like it's 2 years coming almost since I've began recording. I'm like as invested as ever. There's so much more room to grow for myself. And I think, like you said, audio description in general. So I'm here for the ride.
Great. It's so great to hear, Asia. And if you were to share any social media or ways that people can follow you, do you have anything that you'd feel comfortable sharing?
Just one of my Instagrams that I use. I don't post too much to it, so I don't know if there's any point sharing it. But if you do want to follow me, my handle is at Asiamarie VD. So at ASIAMARIEVD.
Great.
If you
Perfect.
want to come hang out with me, that's where I'm at
We'll
sometimes.
catch you sometimes.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks, Roy. This has been great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the invite.